Hello everyone and welcome back to Star Wars Lore. First off, I wanted to begin this video by announcing, in case anyone hasn't heard yet, that Star Wars Rebels got renewed for Season 4. So that was pretty exciting, as this season will not wrap up and complete the entire story, but there will be more stories to tell with the Ghost Crew. And with that, let's walk through the latest episode of Star Wars Rebels, Secret Cargo. Secret Cargo begins with Hera, Zeb, Ezra, and Chopper in the Ghost that are floating in the rubble of a destroyed Separatist cruiser. The four are waiting for another Rebel crew to show up, and they need to provide that crew with fuel. So they just kind of are kicking around and they spend their time watching the HoloNet. A report from the HoloNet shows Senator Mon Mothma making a speech to the Senate. She denounces the Emperor, calling him a lying executioner after a massacre on Gorman. This is where the Empire created one of its worst atrocities, an event which Senator Tinra Pamlo, who we actually meet in Rogue One, she's exposed the evidence to and has since joined the rebellion in Rogue One. Mon Mothma here, this was a huge moment for her and for the rebellion in Star Wars history, as everyone so far has been pretty much doing things in secret behind closed doors. You have Senator Bail Organa has been helping the rebellion, but it's all been kind of hush-hush. Even Princess Leia, hush-hush. But Mon Mothma, an active senator, is publicly denouncing the Emperor's actions. She gives a face to the rebellion. She's tried years of negotiations, and peace talks, and protecting planets the way she knows how to do it, but she can no longer do it playing by the Emperor's rules. Also, by the way, Genevieve O'Reilly, who played Mon Mothma in Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, was brought back to do the voice of this character in Rebels, which I thought was pretty cool. Next, an Imperial droid, like the one we saw in a previous episode, Warhead, shows up and discovers the Ghost. They manage to destroy the droid, but not before it transmits, and then the Rebel crew that they've been waiting for shows up pretty much at the same time. It turns out that the squad they're meeting is Gold Squadron. We get to see Captain John Dutch Vander, who is in A New Hope and Rogue One, so that was a pretty cool connection there. So Gold Squadron and Phoenix Squadron, they kind of argue a little bit about Phoenix Squadron's past tactics, making it harder on the rest of the rebellion, which is pretty understandable. We see this even in Rogue One, where all the rebel cells, they're not really aligned totally in their actions and what they want to do next. So that's kind of an interesting thing to see on display, but it's totally fathomable as everyone joins a cause for many different reasons, and everyone does it a little bit of a different way because there isn't really a supreme commander or leader kind of telling who to do what yet. Next, Imperial cruisers arrive, and Ezra has to jump into a Y-Wing as Gold 2 is knocked unconscious. They disable the Imperial cruisers, and everyone on the Rebel transport has to move over to the Ghost that is heavily damaged, and we then see that Mon Mothma actually is the secret cargo. She explains that she's traveling to a secret meeting to Dantooine to gather all the Rebel cells. This is a direct connection to A New Hope, where Leia gives up the Rebel base while she's being tortured by Tarkin and Vader, and she tells them that the Rebel base is on Dantooine. But the Empire only finds a remnant of a base long abandoned. She did this cover up Yavin 4. So we definitely could see a base on Dantooine in Rebels that could show up in upcoming episodes, and then they'll later desert it for Yavin 4, kind of connecting, putting all the pieces together. Thrawn figures out what Hera will do to get out of the system and deploys TIE Defenders and Star Destroyers on the other side of the Archeon Nebula. The pilot of the TIE Defender turns out to be Volt Scaris, who we saw in the Antilles Attraction episode. The Defenders have shields, and they're just a lot stronger than the Y-Wings, so Gold Squadron loses Gold 3, 4, and 5 rather quickly, leaving Dutch and Ezra by themselves. Also, there was a really cool act of heroism to protect Mon Mothma and the Ghost, as one of the Y-Wings sacrifices itself so the Ghost doesn't take a hit. So I always like to call out those no-name heroes so they get credit where credit is deserved. Hera then leads everyone deeper into the nebula, and she dives them so deep to these stars that are forming that the two interceptors, it gets so hot that they actually burn up and are destroyed. The Defender and Ghost have better shields, and they survive a little while longer. But eventually, they all pull out of the nebula. And at this point, two Star Destroyers, including Governor Price, has pulled up right outside of the nebula, waiting for them. They then grab partially disabled Ghost in their tractor beam. And then earlier in the episode, we learn proton torpedoes can cause a reaction when exposed to the nebula. So Ezra and Dutch decide to fire theirs from the Y-Wings, their proton torpedoes, into the nebula, which creates this crazy chain reaction blast. Actually looks really cool, that knocks the Star Destroyers and knocks out that tractor beam. The Ghost and the Y-Wings then are able to escape through hyperspace. Then we see Mon Mothma send out a message to rebel leaders, and it's pretty inspiring. She tells everyone that she's going to resign from the Senate, that she's got to completely devote herself to fighting with the other rebel cells on the front lines. She says we're not going to rest until we bring an end to the Empire, until we restore our Republic. And then moments later, we see rebel ships started to arrive over Dantooine. We see Nebulon B frigates, Mon Calamari ships, transports, hammerheads, those Corellian corvettes like the Tantive IV. And all these ships end up in the Battle of Scarif, which is pretty cool to see. And Mon Mothma then says, after seeing all these ships, "This, my friends, is our rebellion." So this episode goes a long way in establishing Rebels. It's pretty much that ultimate bridge between the prequel trilogy and the events in Rogue One. At this point, we've kind of hit a tipping point for the rebellion, as they have kind of this new face. Leaders, these rebel cells have all been working in pockets, kind of come together, and they actually have a sizable fleet. And I really enjoyed seeing all these connections. I think Rebels does a really good job making and deeply threading the connections together in a good way. So overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Thought it made a stronger universe through all the connections and strong characters. And that's why I like this show in particular. Because I think that's also why some of the Star Wars Rebels weaker shows tend to be focused solely on these smaller scale things, like a small droid mission with little connections to anything else. And I always feel those are like some of the weaker episodes. But when they have strong connections to, doesn't even have to be a movie, but like comics or a book, just anything through the Star Wars canon, it always makes the episodes better, in my opinion. So I'm a little worried about the preview for next week's episodes, as it feels small in scale, focusing on the droids and Chopper. So we'll see. Hopefully something comes out of that and it's a pretty good episode. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more Star Wars videos on my channel, and I'll see you on the next video.